Neil Hart, Chief Executive of Bolton Wanderers, is with you live. So too is Ian Evatt, the manager. We're going to hear from them soon. Lots of questions as well, including, of course, the restructuring of the club's finance, which we'll get to in just a moment. That will be the first question for the Chief Executive Officer, Neil Hart. But guys, thanks very much indeed. You weren't here last year, Neil, I know that. Ian, you were. So at this stage, I think, and remember later, when they've given their own address, there will be a questions and answer, and we'll get to that very, very soon. But first of all, Ian, I think we should start with you and your pretty much your summary of maybe the last 12 months around about there, or where we're heading and are we on the right road to wisdom?
Well, how long have we got?
Not as long as what Terence had.
Right, 12 months feels like a long time. A lot's happened. I think it's really important that we have some perspective in where this club was and to where it is today, both on the financial side and on the playing side. League Two wasn't an easy league to get out of in the middle of a pandemic and in the midst of a salary cap which didn't suit us either. We managed to do it, which was amazing, really. And from then on, really, we've been rebuilding the playing squad to compete at League One level. As you've seen, there's huge amounts of money being spent in this division this season. Some really big clubs, as big as ours. And it's going to take time. We started the season really well. We got hit with a real big injury crisis. And fundamentally, the squad wasn't able to cope with it. The first 13 or 14 players were fit for purpose. The drop-off from them to the ones underneath was too big for us to be able to sustain our good start. So we've needed to go through a bit of pain, a bit of a transitional period. And fortunately for me and for the football club in general, Sharon and the board have put this club in a position where we're able to purchase players again, to rebuild the squad. And that's huge credit to them from where this club was 2 years ago. So things are moving in the right direction. I'm really pleased with what we've done this January. And I think we'll have a real big finish to the season this season.
And just one for me, Ian, for the time being, just give us a flavour of what it was like, you know, living and breathing football effectively, and particularly, you know, through the COVID era, because clearly that affected Bolton Wanderers, you know, not very long ago, and yourself personally, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's been challenging. It's been really difficult. You know, first and foremost, I'm not going to feel too sorry for myself because lots of people weren't able to do their jobs. We've been able to do ours and get on with ours. And yes, it's strange playing football with no supporters there, but we managed to do it and managed to get promoted. And during the first half of last season, it probably helped us in many aspects while we were getting our act together and getting sorted to have the fans at home watching rather than in the stadium, because I'm guessing their patience would have been wearing thin. But now, obviously, we're in a much better place. Having fans back in the stadium is tremendous. The atmosphere that they've created on Saturday, you know, the last game, the away fans at Shrewsbury were absolutely outstanding. And we're expecting a big game this Saturday and a very big game against Sunderland. So we're looking forward to it.
And just finally for now, Ian, you're happy clearly with the new players, with the acquisitions during the window. I know it's not closed yet. You're hoping to do a little bit more business between now and when the window closes on Monday, but pretty happy. Just give us a flavour again about what is it like? I mean, are there lots of clubs chasing the best players? And you explained to me a few weeks ago about what a big bonus it is when you can go to a player and say, look, this is Bolton Wanderers with the history and the heritage and the stadium and the facilities.
I think there's a few parts to that. I mean, fundamentally, we want people to be coming to Bolton Wanderers because of the history, because of the fan base, because of the facilities, because of our brand and style of football, not for financial reasons. We're not that club anymore. Like we want to do things sustainably. We want to be smart. We want to be strategic, and we feel like we have been. The players we've brought in this window are what we feel assets to the football club. Players that we've paid money for, that if it had gone to free and open market in the summer, we might have lost out with salary because we as I said, we're not that club anymore. What we're doing is being smart. And it's Sharon and the board that have enabled us to be in this position. So it's fantastic. Look, the main part of any transfer window is to leave it stronger than what you entered it. I certainly think that we will be doing that. We're really pleased. And as you say, we've got hopefully 2 more to come in before the deadline ends on Monday.
Thanks very much indeed. We've got some questions for you soon. Let's move on to your Chief Executive Officer, Neil Hart. It's his debut, of course. Neil, I think we first met at a pre-season game early this season. It was all very fresh and, you know, you've just moved down the road. What is your assessment of what you've seen and about Bolton Wanderers in those opening few months?
Well, good evening, everybody. It's great to be with you this evening and really happy to support the Supporters Trust. Well, it's not turned me grey yet, Jack, so we're all good. Generally been really impressed by the club. I don't say this lightly. We have a fantastic set of owners led by Sharon. We have a great board. We have great know-how in there. They're very smart. They're very savvy. I think the senior management team is coming together nicely, and we have some very good people behind the scenes who don't always get a mention, but they're working very hard and very committed to the club. You know, we have a very talented team around Ian himself. So there are all the ingredients there for this club to be hugely successful with Sharon leading that. Sharon is involved day to day in all aspects of the business and really sets the tone. And I think that is our USP. That is what is going to take this club forward or continue to take it forward. And even in the last 6 months or so since I've been with the club, we're seeing progress every week. We're seeing improved finances. You know, you started the opening address by saying, you know, for Bolton to actually be spending money on transfers would have been unheard of a year or two ago. So that is huge progress for the club. And you are all part of that. The supporters help drive that commercial revenue, drive the match day revenue. So there are multifaceted approach to that, and we can talk about that a bit later. But generally really impressed. I think the supporters are very passionate, very engaged. Our conversations between the club and the Supporters Trust are great. They're very candid, they're very open, and you know, we're all on the same page. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and all I want to do is help and support and work with you all to improve Bolton Wanderers and move it forward.
Yeah, and just again, a word about the difficulties that COVID has brought financially. To all football clubs, well, to all industries, to all businesses, I think, Neil, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, you know, let's not hide from that. You know, it has affected the global community. It's affected governments Correct. Around the world. You know, look at what our government had to outlay on the furlough scheme. So it's had a huge impact, and you know, footballers felt that also. So you know, as a club, you know, Bolton, during the pandemic, we have lost millions and millions and millions of pounds of revenue, and that's been very difficult for every football club up and down the country to navigate its way through that. You know, when the pandemic first hit, I was chief executive of Premier League club down the road, and that was a different challenge, but it was still a challenge. And then coming here and coming out of the pandemic, hopefully we're on the back end of it now. We've had to do things as a club to get through that, and we've got through it. And I'm sure that leads us very nicely into your next question, Jack.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. There will be questions that you've sent in to be answered as well from both Ian and from Neil, of course. But thank you for that. So the question, of course, and this has only been confirmed in the last 24 hours or so, of course. The club have restructured financially, Neil. Can you explain why and what it means? And are there any major concerns about the restructuring of the finance?
The first thing I would say is that the Supporters Trust and anyone associated with Bolton Wanderers should not be concerned about this at all. So this has actually happened a little while back. It only came to light because the Futures Fund released the list of companies in the last 24 hours that they've made loans to and what those loans look like. So and we very quickly had the Daily Telegraph and the Times into us over the last 24 hours, and we've been providing comment to you all. Essentially, in a nutshell, during the pandemic, due to the money the business was losing, the club was losing, the board took a very, in my view, smart and savvy decision to take out a loan from the Futures Fund. That was approved. We met the criteria. I will add that that is an innovation fund, and I think we're the only football club that applied to it successfully. So I think that says a lot about the business plan and the approach Football Ventures took to that application. That loan application was successful. It's subsequently been converted into a minority equity stake in the club, a shareholding position, and that equates to around 8%. They are not involved strategically or operationally in the football club. They purely own a small minority stake in the business. What that looks like moving forward, I don't have a crystal ball, so I'm certainly not going to speculate on that. And that's the information, Jack, in a nutshell. We're not worried about it, we're not concerned about it, and nor should any supporters be.
I mean, was it a difficult decision? And just to reiterate what you said there, Neil, other companies, other businesses, this sort of restructuring was available to them. Why do you think that nobody else has gone down this route and taken advantage?
I can't answer that question because I'm not in other people's shoes. It happened just as I was joining the football club. I said at the top of the bill, you know, Sharon and Nick and Michael are very savvy business people, and you know, took a positive decision that helped the club enormously from a cash flow point of view, and was a massive help. And it's been converted into a shareholding. So there's nothing really more, Jack, to say on the matter.
Okay, thanks for that. More questions for you, Ian, in just a moment. So just one more on before we entirely leave that situation. So this has come from the government. So as things stand at the moment, I'm trying to get my head around this. I'm not great with finance, but as things stand at the moment, I guess the government own 8% of Bolton Wanderers. Is that a fair assessment?
That is a fair assessment, yes.
Oh, well, here's the next question then. Does that mean that the Boris Johnson has to pass the EFL owners test?
No, because it's below the 10% threshold, as you know.
Right, okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, no.
So they do not need to go through the test.
Okay, no. Let's not get too concerned. They've got enough to do, haven't they? To be honest with you,
let's move on
without filling another form in. Yeah, exactly. Right, let's get to your questions. Thanks for being with us, by the way. Ian Evatt, the manager, and thanks very much indeed to Neil Hart, the Chief Executive Officer. Question one, I think, Neil, this is for you. It comes from Shahid Hassan, who says increased engagement with the local Asian community could have several benefits for both the club and the community, and could increase the club's support by engaging with a potentially new and large customer base, which prompts the question from Shahid: what plans are in place and are the club going to be looking at engaging with the local Asian community?
Yes, absolutely. So we need to put a plan in place. We need to look at ways to engage with all groups within the town and within the borough. The local Asian community is key. We don't know our statistics on BME season ticket holders or attendees at the moment. We will find that out. Much of that work will be done through Bolton Wanderers in the community, who are absolutely excellent at going out there and engaging in those areas, and then link that through to ticketing opportunities and attending match days. So that will be the plan in a nutshell. I'd be keen to talk to any supporters bodies who are interested in that piece of work, because we always want to collaborate and consult on that. And if there's anyone out there that can help us with that, we'll definitely be doing that. So yes is the answer. Open doors.
Okay, Dominic Carey, this is for you again. I think whilst watching my son play football on Saturday mornings, he got chatting to another fellow supporter, another fellow dad. He said the guy he was talking to is a floating football fan who likes to watch football. He lives in Bolton. But he also went on to explain to him that to watch the Wanderers, he couldn't be doing, and this is his description, not mine, the faff of becoming a member. He went to Preston on that particular day. He was planning to go to Blackburn at his next available weekend. Neither of these clubs within 15 miles have got this additional barrier to entry. Dominic's final says, why do the Wanderers have that barrier?
I don't think it's a barrier. It would, for me, it's more of a faff driving to drive to Preston or Blackburn from Bolton than it is to fill in a 6-line membership form. I think I would say to Dominic, I'm happy to talk to any supporter anytime about the membership scheme, and have done over the last few months. It also probably took Dominic longer to write his question than it probably would have done to join as a membership. In terms of the membership, please just do it. Please come and be part of the football club. It's very important. Early part of the season, we've had some major issues around disorder, which you'll all be aware of. Some of that was very visible, some of that was less visible. We've had lots of antisocial behaviour and drug issues, frankly, in sections of the stadium. We came together with the SAG, we agreed an action plan. Part of that was for us to run a membership stroke registration process. We need to know who's in the ground. That's very, very important. In terms of the membership, it's gone very, very well. We have, as of today, 5 o'clock, we have 15,600 members, of which 12,600 non-season ticket holders. So it's been really successful. And I'd just urge supporters to do it, please. It's 6 lines of information. It takes 1 or 2 minutes. This is 2022. You'll find anywhere you go, any ticket you buy or concert or event, you will have to fill in some data information. Season tickets holders do not need to join this. We already know who you are. We know where you sit. We have your information. So please just support us and work with us on that. It's a really important part of the business now.
Thanks, Ian. Oh no, Ian's next. That is Neil. Thanks, Neil. Stay with us. Have you got your tin hat ready for this one, Ian Evatt? This comes from Derek Ogden. What do you perceive as the reasons behind the many poor team performances this season?
Look, we're in a new division, number one, a really difficult division. Obviously, the weight of expectation at this football club is huge because of its history, and rightly so. But as I keep repeating, we are rebuilding from scratch, from ground zero. We did really well last season to get promoted in our first year, as I've said, in the middle of a pandemic and with a salary cap. But with that salary cap, we recruited and built a squad which was capable and fit for purpose to get out of League Two. League One is a whole new ballgame, completely different kettle of fish. And there's some big hitters in this division, and it takes time to build a platform to be able to compete at this level. We have started really well. We've then had a 2 or 3 month wobble, and we know we had to do some maintenance with the squad, and we have done. And you'll see an improvement like you did last season. Look, I apologise for the poor performances. We don't mean to do it, but poor performances in football happen. I would also add there's been many good ones as well, and hopefully, as I said, we'll finish the season strong and we'll be on the up again, and everyone will be happy. But for now, it's actions rather than words, and our heads are down and working really hard to improve on a Saturday.
Okay, I need to make this point as well. Lots of people, if you don't hear your name read out about a question you've asked, it's because there's been a lot of duplications of questions. So that means 5 or 6 people, even more, might have asked the same question. So they've just selected the one that covers it. This is from John Partington. How do Neil and Ian see the Bolton Wanderers Football Club Supporters Trust supporting the club in 2022? What are the hopes for the future involvement of the trust with the club as a whole? I think you've touched on this already, Neil, previously when you were talking about, the bond, I think, between the club, the supporters, and the trust involvement at Bolton Wanderers.
Yeah, I mean, from a board point of view and from my point of view as chief executive, very, very important. And we've given you time, and we've given you valuable time and meetings. So we want the supporters trust and the wider supporters to come on the journey with us and be part of what we're doing, and that's through collaboration and consultation. So very, very supportive, and we want you to be side by side with us.
Yeah, I've got to say, I mean, I think what's happening here tonight illustrates that point. I know Ian, you were with us last season as well, 12 months ago. I don't know how many that, this might go on at other football clubs. I don't know, this sort of meeting, this sort of collaboration between supporters and the club. But the fact that you two guys are giving up your time to be here tonight, I think says a lot. Right, that tin hat that's already to get out. Well, you need it again now.
Come on, bring it on.
Yeah, I'm going to do. Don't worry, because I know you're great. Everybody's got an opinion. You might need to wear it at set pieces. Peter Holden, Bolton's record of scoring from set pieces this season is among the lowest in the division. What's been done to improve the situation, and has consideration been given to using a specific coach in this area?
Yeah, we're well aware of that statistic, and we're working very hard to improve on it. If we can score more goals from set plays, it will certainly add another string to our bow. I think we're quite good from open play, one of the highest in terms of creating and scoring from open play. But set plays is something that we need to be better at. There's no denying that. In terms of improvements, look, Neil touched on it earlier. Chris Markham, who is kind of my football sidekick, who works on the performance aspect of the football side, is come from the FA. We've just recruited some new analysts that have come from the FA and worked with England's national team, who have done case studies and worked very hard on set plays and looked at a lot of set plays and how we can improve the detail and specifics of set plays. And they're also becoming a lot like anyone that watches American football plays, rugby set plays, rugby league. It is that level of detail you now have to go to create chances, and you only get so much time on the training ground. And it's certainly one area that I need to improve on as a manager. I'm very much a possession-based manager. Look at us in and out of possession, want high tempo, expansive, attacking football. And it's finding the time to add set plays to all of that detail. As I said, we're working really hard on it. We know we need to improve, and hopefully in the coming weeks you will see lots of improvement in that area.
Thanks, Ian. Right, coming right back to you now, Neil. This is again from Peter Holden. He says, in light of Tracy Crouch's fan-led review of football governance and other initiatives, and he cites the Fair Game, what are the club's thoughts and plans for greater fan involvement and input in the club's direction going forward? I think what you're doing tonight probably illustrates that as much as anything, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I'd echo what I've already said, so I'm not going to repeat what I've already said. But in addition to that, I think fan surveys are going to become important this year. So you're going to see us do more of those and working with the supporters trust, working with all you guys on that. So, over the next sort of 30 to 60 days, we'd like to get one out, and that will be across the entire business in terms of how the fans are feeling and some of the sort of match day experiences as well. Fair Game, really like Fair Game. I think the ethos and vision behind it is good. My personal view is it's something that I think we should look at seriously as a football club. We haven't had the opportunity yet to debate it internally, and I'm going to try and get it on the agenda for the next board meeting, because I think it's something the board need to look at and consider, and we'll go from there. But the supporters are the lifeblood of the club, so we want you part of it. We want to collaborate and consult with you, and as I said before, we want you side by side, so as much involvement as possible. Okay, well, you've touched on this from Andrew Crossland briefly. He's talking about attempting to buy tickets online, 3 separate away games. He's encountered difficulties. I'm going to broad brush this because it's a very long question. Ultimately, he says, I'm not against the membership scheme, but the online purchasing system maybe needs to be looked at to avoid further issues. Are you planning on looking into any of these issues that people might be encountering? Yeah, so being really frank with you, I would agree. I think our online ticketing purchasing platform is a little bit clunky. I think it could be a bit user-friendly and we could improve that. So, we are having a bit of an assault across the club on tech in terms of how we got the best tech, and then we're working with the right partners. We work with Ticketmaster, and we will be looking at an upgrade to improve that purchase journey for you guys as supporters. So it's just a case of bearing with us on that one, and we'll try and improve that over the coming year or so. Thank you. Right, another one for you, Ian. This comes from another Ian. I was disappointed recently to see 2 of the junior whites depart the club, especially as it looked like they could have played a part in the team for a while to come. Is it down to injuries, wages, or does Ian think they weren't up to the standard required? And what about the youth setup? Would you like to see it? More players should be given a chance of making it to the first team.
Well, to be frank, in my opinion, the players that have left the club, young players, aren't ready to play every week for Bolton Wanderers, whether that's ability or attitude or both. I didn't think they were ready to play for us week in, week out. every decision I make is obviously with the best interests of Bolton Wanderers at heart. In terms of the academy, look, it needs a lot of work. I think we're trying to come up with some solutions to bridge the gap between the under-18s and the first team. I think there's a huge gulf in difference in quality and physicality between under-18s football and men's football. We tried to implement a reserve team this season, but with the absolute catastrophic injury list we've had and COVID, that's been really challenging. And now I'm petrified of playing any first team players in the reserves in case we lose any more, and it really affects the first team again. So the under-18s have then had to fulfil the fixture list and aren't ready to gain results at that level just yet. So we need to come up with a solution, as I say, to bridge that gap between under-18s football and first team football. There's conversations happening behind the scenes all the time, but for now, we need to find, as I say, a solution that can come up and bridge that gap, which will solve the problem and then enable these lads to get in our first team quicker. I mean, the ones that are doing well this season, Ronan has been out on loan, Adam Senior's been out on loan, Luke Hutchinson's been out on loan. They're probably the three that are closest to the first team. And if we can't bridge that gap for them at Bolton at the moment, then we'll send them out on loan and make sure they gain experience with the right clubs.
Thanks for that. 4 questions from Tom Cleves. I think these are all for you, Neil, by the way. Well, one you've already answered about the time frame on proposed fan zone. I think earlier on we heard about that. First of all, he says, could you advise him if you've begun to investigate the option of installation of rail seating? This is, I think, for standing areas, Neil, is that right? Is that an option that's being considered?
Yeah. So a number of clubs up and down the country are trialling it at the moment. I'm not sure how those trials are going, but once those have been completed, that best practice will be fed down up and down the football pyramid. So we'll certainly have access to that. Personally, I'm not opposed to it. I'm neither in favour or against it. I think this is a fan-led agenda, so it's one we would consult with the Supporters Trust and via fan surveys. If there's an appetite for rail seating and standing areas to go into the University of Bolton Stadium, and it makes sense to do that, then we will look at that in due course.
He also wants to know, is there any update on the Junior Whites initiative?
The Junior Whites initiative is something we're talking about internally. That is ongoing. We definitely want to bring it back, and that will be launched for the 2022-23 season. That is so important to have that back on board and do some positive work with our young supporters. I'm sure everybody concurs with that.
And he ends by saying, did the club collate any feedback from the recent family-run fixture against Rotherham United? Is there any intention to run similar initiatives in the future? If so, are these fixtures predetermined?
Yes, it was very positive in terms of the headcount coming through the turnstiles. I think the feedback from supporters was good. Commercially, it probably performed slightly better at those prices than it would do at an average gate of 13,000-14,000 at the normal category prices. So yes is the answer. It was a success, and we'll certainly be looking to do 1, if not 2, before the end of the season. Those matches are not predetermined yet, but we will announce them to supporters in due course.
I thought that was the last question from Tom. It isn't. He says, is it possible to have some branding on the Nat Lofthouse stand, interior and exterior, similar to the other 3 currently sponsored stands?
Well, that's very timely. We have a new East Stand sponsor that will be announced tomorrow morning, and you will see the branding up in the stadium for Saturday's game. And I won't unveil any more at this stage.
Right, okay, neither will I. But there you go, Tom. Lots of questions. Stay with us because this is from Jamie Adams-Mercer. Oh, blimey, lots of questions here. Neil, first of all, how transparent are the club willing to be on existing and future financial arrangements? Well, I think you've answered that more or less, haven't you? You've covered that very, very earlier on. The decision was taken last year to downgrade the academy from 2 to 3. Can Ian give any further information as to what the plan is now and confirm if the academy is a priority for the club? And I know you've touched on it previously in one of the questions earlier, Ian Evatt, but you know, I mean, was that a difficult decision? How has it affected things going down from category 2 to 3?
Well, that decision was made before I came to the club, so yeah, the club had done that for their own reasons. I have my own opinion on the academy and what should happen and what it should look like for us. I think we are in a fantastic area of the country, surrounded by Category 1 clubs, Man City, Man United, Everton, Burnley, you know, all of these, Liverpool, we should be taking advantage of and gaining the best ones that get let go by those big Cat 1 teams, you know, Man City's, Man United's. We should be getting the pick of their bunch. We're not there yet, but we're working hard to be in a position to be able to do that. And if we can offer a good pathway for these young players to gain entry into our first team environment, then why not? As I said, that we're a long way from that at the moment. There's lots of things that need to change and happen before then. But it's definitely at the forefront of our minds as to how we develop our own and get them in the first team.
Thank you. That is Ian. This is Neil. Neil, could you give a bit some information on the detail? You know, I'm sure you can't give it all, but they recently announced, of course, that the joining or the coming together with the signing of the Radisson hotels.
Yeah.
Group.
So just to be clear, and I thought we had been clear on this in our comms, or maybe it's been lost in there. So we own and operate the hotel, and that will continue to be the case. The partnership with Radisson is a commercial partnership agreement. We will layer in their branding and their standards and their guidelines across the hotel. We have a project management team on that at the moment, working with Radisson to do that. We'll hopefully launch that in April, May time, and it will benefit the hotel and in turn the wider club business commercially. So again, it's a very savvy and smart move by the board to take. And we're going to deliver it and make it happen and deliver a benefit to the business. And a good performing hotel commercially can only benefit the football club.
Jamie also points out that there's lots of losses taking place in League 2, League 1, and indeed the Championship. You'd be interested to hear, he says, how we can work smarter. He'd like to get your views on any overriding strategy on plan on how to achieve sustainability. I mean, I know you've talked and touched on a little bit of that with that news that's emerged in the last 24 hours, Neil. Is there anything you could add? He's concerned about the last set of accounts, quite concerning, he says, for a League 1 club. Yeah.
This club is definitely on the road to sustainability. There's no doubt about that. You know, week by week, month by month, our cash flow and our P&L is improving. We can see that. I think it's not being reliant on one or two sources of income. So it's being reliant on numerous sources of income coming into the group. So that's good hotel trading revenue. That's good events being run at the stadium. That's good commercial partnerships, which are evolving all the time. And we're doing some really good, exciting deals at the moment. And we've got lots in the pipeline. That's trading very well via ticketing and via match days and marketing that collateral very effectively. So there's numerous ways we can work smarter and harder to make the club sustainable, and we're doing all those things at the moment. And then obviously in time, we want to trade players effectively. So, you know, Ian mentioned it around, you know, bringing in young, hungry players, and they are assets for the football club, and that helps enormously as well. So all those things contribute to a sustainable football club, which is the direction Sharon and the board are taking us, and we will get there.
Yeah, this is from Adam Greenhalgh. It's about ticket and travel booking fees. He says he purchased 5 tickets for Morecambe, 4 bus tickets, and he was charged £11.50 for additional online fees and postage. And he also says he's unclear why the club haven't moved over to barcode scanning for bus and coaches like match tickets.
Yeah. I think there's a digitalisation piece of work we need to do across the club, from a ticketing and entry into the stadium and bus tickets, etc. That improved technology across the club is something we're looking at, and we'll look at over the next 6 months. Those fees, having looked at them now and been communicated them to me, they are alarming, you know, and I will look into that, and happy to take that offline and pick that up with Adam via Ian or a member of the board. Okay, thank you for that. This is from Philip Shortland. I don't know if one of the guys from the trust want to dive in on this one, but Phil says, if Derby County's taught us anything, it's how critical it is that the club's always given a measure of protection by an ACV.
Of course, that's an asset of community value, isn't it? Status. That's due to be renewed this year. Can we have the club's assurances they will not challenge the application?
We will not challenge a status quo application. The stadium is a community asset value. It's valuable to the community. It's a cultural place for thousands of people to go, and we want it to stay that way.
A question this says for the manager, Ian. So that will be you. This comes from William Jenkinson. What, in your opinion, is the difference in standards, both tactically and player ability-wise, between League One and League Two? And then looking forwards, he says, same question between Championship and League One.
Huge. I think what's happening in football nowadays is the gulf between divisions is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, from the Premier League to the Championship and downwards. Yeah, I mean, like I said, last season, the quality and standard of League Two was challenging at times in terms of pitch quality, the brand that we want to play. It wasn't easy for us at times, and obviously in the middle of a salary cap, which limited our spending power, we could only recruit certain types of player. Now we've got into League One, the standard and the salary cap's gone, the standard has been increased tenfold. And as you can see by the top 10 to 12 clubs in this division at the moment, they are spending vast amount of money that I would have seen spent in the Championship in my playing career, at the top end of the Championship as well. So it's going to take time to build a playing squad that is capable of competing at the top end of this division and then in the Championship. And that's what we're trying to do. Look, the way we play, our identity and brand and style, as well as the recruitment that we're doing, is to enable us to have sustained success throughout the English pyramid. You know, direct teams, there's a lot of direct teams that are having success in this division at the moment, and fair play to them. That isn't my way or my belief. But what they'll find is when they get into the Championship, that isn't good enough. You can't compete at the Championship being direct. You can't compete in the Championship being based on set plays. You have to have more about your game than that. And that's what we're trying to coach the players. Yes, it takes longer and we need patience in doing it. But once we crack it and get it right, it will give us a chance of sustained success in the higher divisions in the English pyramid.
Yeah, well, Jamie asked another question, but I think you've answered it already there about the playing style. He's talking about, do you look to secure the best talent to suit the strategy, or secure the highest level of talent available, then select the most suited tactical strategy and team formation?
Well, the good thing about having a strategy and identity is that you can recruit to it. And that's what we try and do. You know, all the work behind the scenes with Chris Markham, his team of analysts that look at thousands of hours of footage of players, go through references of players. We're able to look and prepare reports based on how they would fit into how we do things and how we want to play. We know what each position should look like, strengths, attributes, weaknesses, and what we can coach and work on. All that goes into being a Bolton player nowadays. But yeah, you can recruit to an identity, and we certainly go down the route of doing that as best we can.
Sally Jameson says, if you don't sign Kyle Dempsey, will you sign another midfield player? I know you told me today that you're hoping to get a couple in.
Neil will be cringing at
fingers
that.
crossed.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've identified Kyle. We want to try and bring Kyle to the club, but we will do it at a level that we're comfortable with. And if that doesn't happen, then we'll move on to other targets. It's as simple as that. You know, we know we're light in the midfield area. As I said, we're looking to bring in 2 more players. One of those looks very close to completion. And I've actually been getting some messages about that while I've been on this Zoom call, which is positive. So yeah, I mean, we're hopeful. Kyle is a player that we really like, but it's not the be all and end all. You know, I believe that everything happens for a reason, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If not, we'll move on to other targets that we've worked very hard on identifying.
Ian McNichols, you might need to think carefully about this, Ian. You might not want to answer this anyway, but I'll ask the question on behalf of Ian. This is from Ian McNichols. Who do you think is your best signing since you took over at the club?
It's a very good question. The players would want me to say the chef.
Good answer.
Yeah, the chef is very well liked by all the players. He's excellent. No, look, it's impossible for me to say, but the best signing I ever made since becoming a manager has been my assistant, Peter Atherton. Now, I've spoke many times of, I'm fortunate enough to be the face of the football club at the moment with Sharon and Neil and the football department, but there's lots of hard work that goes on behind the scenes. Not every hero wears a cape, and my support staff have been immense for me all along, and Peter is a huge part of that. I've had a lot of success very quickly as a young manager, back-to-back promotions, and hopefully go on to have more success. And my backroom team, all of those, Matt, Sam, Peter, Matt Pelham, Lewis Duckmanton, or the physio department, all of those people are a huge part to our success. And we mustn't lose sight of that. As I said, I'm the manager and I make all the decisions, but the help they give me day to day is brilliant and amazing.
A final one for you. Gemma Cook says, how many transfer windows ahead do you look to plan? Do you already have targets identified for the summer window?
Well, that it hasn't, as I said, when I first came to the club, obviously Tobias was doing a lot of the recruitment, and we needed a new policy and a new plan. We had no database, we had no scouts, we had no reports, and we're having to start it all from scratch. Now, that work started last year. Obviously, one of the main reasons we recruited Chris Markham was to help me with that. We're now getting into a position where we are planning windows ahead, which is great. There's still lots of work to be done on that, but we kind of know what the summer transfer window will look like, who will be exiting, who will want to sign, and what positions and what they should look like, and where the improvements needed in the team. But a lot of the remedial work has been done in this window, like we did last January, really. We've signed a lot of good players in this window, not just from now until the end of the season, but for the future, other than Marlon Fossey, who is a lone player at the moment, but a lone player with a purpose, because we've already been told by Fulham that he's available on a permanent transfer, and it's something kind of a try before you buy scenario. So all of these things are taking place. That the length of contracts that we're now offering players is for the future and not window to window, which can only help build sustainability. It's exciting, I'm really excited about the work we're doing on and off the pitch. And I think we'll see in time, it'll be really beneficial. But as I said, for now, it's actions rather than words, and we need to make sure we get our heads down, work hard, and start winning football matches on a regular basis again.
Well, on my behalf, thank you very much indeed. And I know there's been lots and lots of questions. I can't see the questions, but I know lots of people will be getting in touch during the past hour or so. So we thank you for your services. Neil, all the best. I'm sure you'll reveal everything that you need to when the opportunity presents.
Sorry.
Of course you can. Please do.
There's one or two questions I've seen. I've been trying to click onto the chats about answering things.
All right, go on then.
I haven't seen. And somebody asked a question about the junior whites and going into schools and the community. Now, that's something that I'm a firm believer in. I know Neil is as well with his community work. And Sharon, the very first conversation was about building the trust and respect between our club and the community again. Now, due to COVID, it's been a real struggle for us to enter schools, to go visiting places and selling our brand and the football club again, and getting young supporters bought into Bolton Wanderers and wearing their shirts rather than Man United, Man City, etc. That's what we want to do. That's been really challenging with the COVID scenario, but hopefully we're getting to the other side of that now. And I can promise, while I'm the manager of this football club, that myself, the players, will be readily available to enter schools, visit schools, spread the love and the positive messaging that this club is now bringing. So I can't wait to do that, and I hope that answers your question on that.
Well, I'd just like to thank you again, and not just yourself. These people, some of you can see on your screen, very hardworking. They've just got the club at heart. They give up hours and hours of their own time as well, as you have done tonight, guys, as well. Neil, thank you very much indeed. I know you'll keep us updated with everything as things progress. And I'll see you on Saturday, Mr. Evatt, and hopefully a win against Sunderland with 20,000 plus cheering on the Wanderers, and a couple of thousand from Sunderland as well. 5,000, over 5,000, I think you said earlier, Neil. Thanks, fellas. It's really, really appreciated. I don't know if the board, anybody, whether it's Terence or Ian, just wants to finalise the proceedings. But again, I don't know how many other football clubs do anything like this. I know this football club does, and it's been a pleasure, a proudness and a privilege to have been asked to do it. So thank you very much on behalf of the trust, and for answering as many questions as you had. Thanks very much, guys. Much appreciated.
Okay, thank you very much, Jack, as usual.
Pleasure.
Yes, everything he said, it's right. Thank you very much for coming. It's been very interesting. You've been very open. Ian was very open last year. Andy was very open. Neil, you've obviously been very open. You always are. It's great. Please come again. Thank you.
I would like to echo that. Thank you. Thanks for everybody attending, and thanks to all the members. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks, Neil.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Neil.
Matt.
What did you want to say?
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. It's been great to be here tonight and take all the questions, and I hope you feel we've answered them very honestly and candidly, which we have. I spoke to Sharon earlier, and as I'm sure Ian has, and just a message from the board and from Ian and I, we're absolutely committed to taking this club forward. We're absolutely committed to working with you all. We want to listen. We want to work in collaboration. We've got the club at heart, and we've got a positive and exciting future ahead. So enjoy it, work with us, thank you very much.
I think it goes without saying, there's a lot of value to what you guys have done in the last hour and 10, 20 minutes or whatever it's been. And I've just seen a few messages coming through, lots of positive feedback as well. And lots of people are saying, thanks very much indeed for doing this. And I reiterate that. There might be other football clubs who do something like this. I don't know. But I know this one does, or has started to do in the last couple of years. And people, Ian, you usually mention this to me about 3 times a week about where this club has come from and where it might be going to. We are on the yellow brick road now, aren't we? Definitely.
Absolutely. Look, I think we're taking the first steps along that journey. We've got a few bumps in the road. We've had bumps in the road, but that's football, and we wouldn't want it any other way. But I can tell you now, and Neil the same, that where this club is going is very, very exciting. I have no doubts in my mind where we're heading, and I'm looking forward to taking you there.
Thank you very much indeed. Right. Thanks, fellas. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.